Hey, this is Will Power, and you're listening to the Indie Sports Car Podcast.
Wow. Welcome, ISCP fans, to another episode of the Indie Sports Car Podcast.
What's up, Missy?
Hello.
Jared?
Hello, and big hello to our special guest, Mr. Steve Wittich of Trackside Online and TSO Ladder.
Good evening, guys. Hope everything's going well and everyone's ready for the season. I know I am.
I can't believe it's already, what are we, like 4 days away? Well, really 3 days away from, no, 2 days away from an actual race happening, right?
Yeah, it's amazing. And we started late too, but it still feels like it still feels like March for some reason.
It really does.
Feel a little weird.
It
It's not
feels like
St.
March
Pete.
2020 still, but in some ways.
It is strange that the first race on the calendar is Barber.
Yeah, it is. It is odd. I think I looked, it's first time ever for season opener in Alabama, and believe it or not, it's only the second time since World War II the season's opened on a road course, like a natural terrain road course. It's always been ovals or street courses. I think the only other one was at Monterrey, Mexico, for a couple of years. When kart started down there.
Oh, right on. Yeah, I was thinking like...
Yeah, it's really strange, right? You started at St. Pete a lot, Long Beach.
Surfer's Paradise
Homestead,
even.
Phoenix, surfers, right? Phoenix a lot back in the day. So
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of a strange way to start the season, but it'll be interesting.
So,
Prefer because I'd rather not end last season at St. Pete and then start the next season at St. Pete. So to kind of a little bit of variety.
Yeah, I mean, it's, it's just great to have all of RTI there, and then Indy Lights and IndyCar all the same spot at the same time. It's just good.
I'm glad to see Indy Lights back.
Yeah.
So am I. I'm
missed
excited
it.
to have
I
Indy
missed it
Lights
last
back.
year.
Should be a really good season. A lot of drivers that can win races, so it should be. Yeah, I'm really excited about Indy Lights being back. It's I know they worked hard to get the car counts up, and I think 13 is the best we've had at a season opener since maybe 2015. So it's getting there, and I think we've got a few more teams coming in next year, so that should get the counts back up. And then the other two series are really healthy. Like I didn't think USF's got 26 entries, and I thought it might maybe get to 20 this year, so that's ahead of where I thought they'd be. In Indy Pro's about 17, so good healthy counts. I think largest combined field for road Indy in a while.
That's the thing. I mean, like, I think that's the healthiest road Indy should be. Is like USF should be the most, and then progressively get a little.
Sure.
Yeah. You should start getting quality over quantity.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, no, you start to lose guys who they can't either come up with a budget or they just they realize that this isn't where their career path is. So, it just gets get a lot more expensive. It gets harder to get the kids to. The parents or the sponsors or the backers to spend the money.
Yeah, but I mean, as far as the ladder series, you really can't beat it because if you win a championship, there's no guesswork in it. You're going up, and that's what we want is the best out of the best because you have to be in order to race IndyCar to begin with.
No, it really is there's good reason that there's a lot of European drivers and South American drivers and even we've got a lot of Australians and Kiwis coming this year too that they're here because of the scholarship, right? There's no other way for them to move up, and it's just there's nothing like it anywhere else in the world where you can continue to move your career forward just by winning races. You don't need to bring the money.
Definitely. I mean, like I remember ever since we met Parker during his rookie season at Mid Ohio, and I remember it's like every year it's just like I don't think we're going to be able to do it this year.
Yeah.
Like this is the first year he's actually not come through on that. Which I mean I'm still happy he's going to be part of the road to Indy though. So
no, that'll be fantastic for him. And yeah, no, Parker and I have had discussions over the years, and he's like, okay, am I, do I keep doing the open wheel side? Do I go sports cars? I'm like, Parker, you're good enough to be an IndyCar driver, but you've got to make money at it, right? Like, you can't just keep throwing money at something if you're not going to, make a career out of it. And, going to sports cars now is probably the right move for him. We're going in a Porsche series is fantastic too, because it's a good opportunity for him to possibly get a factory ride down the road. And I think you'll see, you've got Porsche coming into the WeatherTech series 2 years from now. So there's going to be, probably 4 to 6 prototype seats there that will need filling. So now's probably the right time to get into that type of program.
Yeah, definitely. Didn't he set some sort of a record last year in Porsche? What Porsche series was he racing last year? Was it GP 3 Cup?
I think he did the GT3 Cup,
yeah,
Canadian version, but yeah.
Yeah, he definitely made a name for himself, over there, and not only that, he made a name for himself, overseas. Was it 3 years ago? I think it was for Team Canada.
Yes. Yeah.
So he's, you're definitely right. He's definitely good enough to be an IndyCar by now. I think the closest he ever came was him and Anthony Martin a few years back when they were both racing for Cape, and then but yeah, and then
relive it. You remember that championship battle there?
Yeah, it was a good one.
You can talk. You can talk normal now, Jared. We can hear you.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry.
You're still in your ASMR voice. Was this ASMR RTI?
Sorry, I'm also trying to keep the echo down because this room is a lot different than when I was in the basement. The acoustics are much different.
Yeah, but not with that microphone, because Missy's 10 feet away from me and she can't hear me through her microphone.
Anyway, is this right? 11 of the 13 IndyCar drivers are rookies?
I'm messing with you, Jared. You're like so. Do I raise my voice?
11 of the 13 Indy Light. Yeah, I think that's Toby, Rob. Yes, that is correct.
All right, David, Malukas, Rob, and
David's
Toby.
so 3. Yeah, 10 of them are rookies because
10 of
David
them, okay.
David did one season. But
Wow.
yeah, but the rookies are awfully good.
Yeah, I'm looking to see who.
Yeah, like I think, early thoughts are, it's going to be Kirkwood versus Linus Lundqvist.
Mm-hmm.
Lundqvist is a real deal. He won the Formula Regional Americas Championship last year, and I know a couple people that work over in that series, and they said he's definitely the real deal. He's good on the track, and he works hard off the track. He's tough. He's got a tough personality, and he works really, really hard to get himself better off the track, which once you get to that level, that's what it takes, right? You look at guys like Dixon and Power and the guys who win championships in IndyCar, they work hard, nonstop, all the time, off the track, on the track. So from what I understand, I haven't met him yet, but I've heard nothing but positive things about his work ethic and his mental toughness. And, obviously Kyle's next level good too. So
Definitely.
And yeah, I think Malukas is going to have a good season. He's got a couple drivers there at HMD and Global Racing Group that can push him, and I think that's something that he's always needed. He needs to, he needs that confidence, and being able to compete with someone he knows is good is going to help him too. So, there's other guys in that series that I don't count out Rob McGinnis. I don't count out Toby Salary. I expect Stingray to catch up, but there's no wankers in that series. Look at it this way, and then Alex Peroni for Carlin and will be really fun to watch. I think fans, once they get to know him, will really like him. He's really not bubbly isn't the right word, but he's got a big personality, and if you've seen him, he's got really long hair.
I know I am. I'm looking at his picture.
Tasmanian, right?
Yeah.
You hear Tasmanian. He's Tasmanian. And,
Yeah.
He's a big personality, and he's a really good shoe. Like he's, you look at his results in Europe, they haven't been, the greatest. He had a good year in F3 last year, but the last 2 years in F3, he's been with a team that's not that great.
Yeah.
So sometimes when you get these kids coming from Europe, you never know how they're going to do because the teams are just
Yeah. Look at Rossi.
right. Yeah, no, it's not the same. Racing over there is not as equal as it is here. Look at it that way.
Definitely not.
You can be on a good team and be the third driver and get treated very differently than, the third driver at Andretti Autosport and Lights does. Everybody here gets treated the same. So I think you'll see him excel too. So yeah, there's nobody that's in Lights right now that I think there's probably 10 guys that can win races realistically. So it'll be one of those years where, it's finishing races is going to be hugely important. No DNFs.
Was there ever a satisfying reason on why they took the Freedom 100 out this year? You think?
Yes, yeah. If you go back and you look at when Roger bought the place, when you bought IMS, and sort of the stuff he said in the past, he wants one oval race at IMS, and he's got that now. Right? He's got the 500. NASCAR moved to the street or to the road course. Now everybody else is on the road course. There's one oval race there, and it's IndyCar, and it's the 500, and that's kind of I think the feeling that I got is I don't know if you'll ever get him to admit it, but I get that's the underwriting reason why, and I wish he would admit it because it's not the worst reason in the world, right? Like the 500 is special, and I get that. Don't get me wrong, the Freedom 100 was fantastic, but
Year in, year out, almost.
Oh yeah, for sure. But it's tough to lose that training ground for those younger drivers, right? It's
so critical. I mean, you don't learn it at Lucas Oil. I can tell you how much.
No, definitely not. No, it's definitely different, and I think you'll probably see Dan Anderson trying to add a little bit higher speed oval somewhere sometime. But I think IndyCar will try and add a couple ovals back too. But I'm not sure where yet. It'll be interesting to see. There's not,
See,
I don't know what will happen to tracks like Kentucky and Chicago now that they've lost NASCAR races. I fear they will have a hard time surviving.
I mean, obviously IndyCar needs at least 1 to 2 more oval races. It's pretty obvious looking for the schedule. And I was thinking Chicagoland or Kentucky maybe, and possibly Richmond coming back, if that's even a possibility again. Obviously we didn't get it last year because of everything that's going on, but I don't know. But when Roger took over the series and took over IMS, I was just like, this is exactly what the fans want. Basically, I mean, a guy that can do whatever he wants. He's got all the money in the world, and what does he want to do? He wants to. I mean, not only does he want to be a part of IndyCar, but he wants to be behind a wall, being an engineer of a driver that I mean, it's like he can't be any more like what?
He still calls strategy.
Exactly, that's my point. Like you're calling strategy for a team you own at a track you own in a series you own. It's like this. Yeah. I mean, he's not going to make a decision if it's not for the best of the series, and that's what we want.
No, I give him credit. He has stepped back quite a bit from the team side of things to run the series and the track. He's focused a lot on the track since he bought it, but I think the series will start to get some more attention too. If you guys when you come back to the track, you'll notice a big difference. It's just, I didn't think it was run down by any stretch of the imagination, but you know how you'd walk around and the signs would be mismatched and the color, there'd be 2 different colors of blue right together. Now it's all like perfect, which is typical for Roger, right? Like everything's shiny. It's just, it's a little more well manicured. The what was grass parking lots or have been paved. It's a little bit better. Yes. The media parking lot here has been paved. So
awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's just the little stuff people will notice. And I think the series will start to get a little more attention from him now that he's got IMS, and he's brought in some good people. Like his son, Greg, is very involved in the day-to-day of IMS and the series. And Greg's a really sharp guy. He's been running the dealerships for a while. And Greg was the one who ran the tracks when Roger owned them, when he owned Michigan and Nazareth and Fontana. So, and he did a good job with it. So, he's a racer too. So, it's in good hands with that family right now. They're, it's a bunch of racers. So,
wow,
that's definitely a good thing.
Nazareth, PA. That was my first race out. Yeah, first IndyCar race ever. Yeah, 1992, Nazareth. Yeah,
Love that track. It was fun.
Bobby
I
Rahal
still,
won.
I still love to see him go back to MIS one of these days, but I don't. Everything I've heard, it would be the most boring race ever, and it would take away from Belle Isle. So I can't.
Yeah, I
really
don't think he can do both. And it's
see.
yeah, no, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see with this, with the package they have on the car right now. It might not be bad racing. Um, you have to take off some downforce for sure.
What was that? That's it's a 2 mile, isn't it?
2 mile, yeah, and it's
Yeah.
the bank. It's high bank, right? So it's
Remade
it's
it within the last 10 years or so, and
yeah.
so the grip is
Yeah, the
just,
thing with like since Fontana, like Fontana in 2015 was just it's the poster child of why IndyCar just can't do high bank tracks.
Right.
Even though it still goes down in history in my mind as one of the probably most exciting edge of your seat racing you'll ever watch, but to an extent, it's like it's the reason we don't
Yes,
go to Vegas anymore.
yeah, and I think it'd be a little better if you went back there now, just like if you went to Michigan, because that was the first or second year of the manufacturer aero kits, and the downforce was just ridiculous. Like the downforce those 3 seasons was just crazy.
It was bonkers, yeah.
Yeah, it was absolutely bonkers how much downforce those cars had, and I think you'd go back there with a little bit. I think maybe when we get the new engines in 23, you're looking at another 100, 150 horsepower probably. And if you keep the downforce levels the same as you have now, you could probably go back to some of these tracks a little easier.
Plus, the chassis is going to be even that much more safe because they're going to be able to incorporate the aero screen into the chassis instead of bolting it onto a chassis that never intended it.
Yeah, you'd be amazed if you looked at what's been done to the chassis since 2012. How many different little pieces have been added, and it's a lot heavier than it was intended to be, but it's a lot safer too, right? There's been a lot of Xylon along the sides of this chassis, and the aero screen's not too heavy, which is nice, but it's heavy enough, right? It's
it's odd looking on this.
Yes, no,
chassis.
It'll look better once I get a chance to build it in, right? For what it is, it does a good job, and I didn't know what I'd think of the halo on the Indy Lights car, but I actually don't mind it. It doesn't look too bad. The teams have done a nice job of kind of trying to hide it, and it's going to help with the car count. And when they get a halo, I think that next year they plan to have the halo on the other two cars, and it's going to make a huge difference for the European. There's still a lot of European drivers that won't come over without some sort of protection, especially now that they have it. Every car in Europe other than F4 has it now, so you kind of have to follow what they're doing.
Yeah.
So it makes it safer.
Yeah, and plus by the time it gets here, no, I'm sorry, Jared. What's that?
Do you think you'll see a windscreen added to the cars if they want to do more ovals in the road?
I don't think so. Not that I've heard. So I don't think so. I think you'll just stick with the halo. It's more to protect, in those silly accidents where one car goes over the top of the other, and it does help in those instances. Like last year, at IMS with Braden Eves accident.
That was so wacky too. It was.
It was It was strange, and he landed on a weird spot of the oval, and no, it was an odd crash, but I think having a halo there would have made a big difference too. It just would have taken some of the pressure off the roll hoop.
Definitely, yeah.
And the roll hoop bounced a couple times, which isn't always good, which is never good.
What happened?
When it rolled, it bounced off the track, and then when it hit the banking, it hit at a strange angle, and.
Yeah, I think Jared, weren't we asking about that at New Jersey Motorsport Park about the hope, because there was so much there were so many different some people were saying that the hoop broke. It didn't. It said it was like filed down a little bit or something like that, but it didn't break
from grinding along the underside of the track.
Yeah, and it will be strengthened to make it just that little bit stronger. You learn, right? Like that's the problem when you have an accident, and you might hurt somebody, but you always learn from that, unfortunately. But Dan and that group wants to make it as safe as possible, right? Because it's just, even more so, at an IndyCar level, you guys are, you're an adult, you make your decision. But at that level, if you're making a decision for your kid, you want them to be as safe as possible. So
Of course.
it definitely works to have the additional safety features.
Yeah, especially especially USF 2000 on, because let's face it, the kids are coming in 15, 16, give or take.
Yep.
So parents have a lot to say in that. Definitely. So as long as the parents are if they feel safer in it, they'll be a little bit more. Definitely. But you got to change with the times. And
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
No, it's a perfect way to put it. You need to move along with the time. We've one time we didn't have seatbelts in race cars, right? That's just thinking about that's just crazy, right? Like
really,
guys wore leather helmets. That's nuts to me, but they didn't know any better. Or they didn't have the equipment, and it gets developed, and everybody's safer. Still a dangerous sport.
Yeah. There's no more. It's not. It's no more less dangerous. I mean, it really isn't. But and then somehow Romain Grosjean comes out of that fireball last year. I can't believe that video. Like a minute later, he just emerges like, "Yeah, I'm fireproof."
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I think he's gonna have. I think people will be. He's gonna have a good season. He will not take very long to get up to speed. He's really good, and the team likes having him because he's really good in the simulator. So that helps out the engineers a lot. And Honda likes having him because he's good in the simulator. So he's helped them, verify a few things. So yeah, no, I think people will be surprised. I think top 10s constantly and fights for podiums on a regular basis would not shock me in the least.
No, definitely not. I mean, he was doing it in Haas, and Haas didn't. Haas's cars.
I'm a Romain Grosjean fan.
Yeah.
I like Romain Grosjean.
Have you checked it? Go to his wife's Instagram. They've been doing like a 2-week tour of the U.S. in an RV with the kids.
Oh yeah.
It's fantastic. It's like the best thing on the internet lately because it's so wholesome. They're just checking all out the southern U.S. in an RV with and it's fantastic to see them embrace the lifestyle and racing over here.
It's definitely a culture shock when you spend you spend your whole life in Europe and then you come here. It's definitely a culture shock. I mean, that's for sure.
No,
What's his wife's name?
Marion.
GROEJEA and a lot of other letters that you don't say because it's French.
Yeah, Marion. Marion Grosjean.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
How many kids does he have?
3. I've got 3. So,
The younger, older, middle?
yeah, younger. I think they're all under 8 or 9. But they were the one who pushed him to go back to racing, right? Like he wasn't sure, and they said, "No, Dad, that's what you do. You're a racer, right?" So,
okay.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, they've been going all over the U.S. and yeah, it's pretty cool.
See, they're in Florida. Is that Florida or Houston?
I think so.
Juno Beach.
Yeah, Florida.
So they went to Cape Kennedy. Hopefully they got to see a SpaceX rocket take off and land.
That's awesome. I mean, learning the American life, getting to see the ways, because
exactly.
You only get to
and her like the stories part has been good too. Like it's been fun to watch him kind of. Yeah, and I think she's a journalist if I remember correctly.
I wouldn't have pegged her for a journalist.
Yes.
Model maybe, yeah, but journalist, no.
Yeah.
I wasn't checking her out, miss, I swear.
She can have you.
Got her number? I'm kidding. I'm not gonna. Yeah, I'm not gonna. I mean, I'm better looking than him, but it's fine.
I definitely think I'll be room for Romain Grosjean this year, though.
I'm gonna pull up this one little nugget.
Not with
there
that
to
pink tail.
that great Rob
Oh, yeah.
House
There you go.
This weekend at Barber, 56 cars starting in the Road to Indy, which is the most since Anderson took over in 2014.
I think there's probably been 2 added. When did he do that 13th year? There might have been 2 added since then.
Oh, yeah, since yesterday. Yeah, this was yesterday. So
The Legacy Autosport Marati guys added a couple to USF, which is great. Actually really cool to see. Andre Castro is one of the ones they've added, and he's one that I've kind of liked to see come back. He's been over in Europe doing NASCAR Wheeling Series, but he's a New Yorker, good kid.
And I'm actually I want to see what's going to happen with Force Indy. That's probably the one USF 2000 team that I'm most excited for. Just them coming over, and then also I think the Rick Ware Racing, coming over from NASCAR or from the sprint car side. Both of those teams we've had on the show here.
Very cool.
Yeah,
Force Indies. Those guys are good. Miles is really good. I know a couple guys that coach Miles at a lower level, and like they said Miles had money and could have kept racing. He's good. He's really, really good. And then that team, I love what the guys that are the crew guys are really good. And then they've obviously got some, Team Penske mentoring, and it's John Buslog. Myron is the one who's mentoring them, and he was IndyCar. Most recently, was a sports car team manager at Penske, but he's won IndyCar team manager of the year like 5 times. So could you imagine at a USF 2000 level, that's the guy who's that's who's mentoring these crew guys for Force Indy. So I expect them to be pretty good. I expect them to be very good, actually. I expect the car prep to be on point, as good as anywhere, and engineering wise, they'll get it figured out. It's definitely a fun story to see.
You think anybody has anything for Cape this year? USF 2000?
Yeah, I think so. I think USF's it's good. Yeah, no, I think there's 4 or 5 teams that including Cape, that will be up there, right? Like Cape didn't dominate last year, and
yeah.
That was a first,
Howard.
but they've got, Michael D'Orlando's really good. I expect him to be very, very competitive and fighting for the championship. But yeah, there's probably 5 guys there that I would say are solid championship contenders. Christian Brooks at exclusive, basically all the veterans: Prescott Campbell, Kiko Porto, Nolan Siegel, 3 guys at D-Force. D-Force is going to be really good this year. Yeah. There's 5 or 6 veterans that I think will be good, and then some decent rookies too. So, but with the rookies, it sometimes takes a little bit, especially at USF 2000, for them to start making headway. And there's not, like we've had some guys, rookies like Kirkwood and Askew. We don't have any like that this year. There's nobody, I think, that's that rookie that's going to just absolutely blow the field away.
Speaking of Askew, it's like I don't even know how to put that into words at the moment. So I spent the last 3 years watching just off he goes, and all of a sudden him and Pato on McLaren, I'm like, that makes sense, yeah. But then Indy happens, and then it was like worst thing that could have happened to Oliver. It's like, and
really the 2 Indies happened. The crash he had in the first road course race at Indy didn't help either. No, that definitely didn't help.
It's true.
And then
I'm
not sure what he's going to end up doing. I think he'll end up easily in sports cars if he wants to. I know he's working hard to come back. I know he was in line for a 500 seat, but I don't think that's going to happen now. So hopefully he can get back, but I know he's working hard at it, but it's tough. I feel horrible for him because he just, he gets stuck into a horrible situation. And then of course Pato performed just
like Pato,
right? Like, so he
like Pato Award, you mean?
Now it's like,
Yeah, like I've been saying it for years, and I've been saying that Felix Rosenquist and Pato Award has to be in IndyCar. If we pride ourselves on having the best drivers in the world to be in IndyCar, those 2 have to be in the series
for sure.
So
those 2 are going to be a good pairing. I think they'll push each other really well, and
exactly.
I don't know if there's a driver that I've seen mature in the last 3 years more than Pato. It's on the track and off the track. Like, he's become a very, very, very good driver, both on and off the track. And I wasn't sold he would become one off the track. Right? He's a fun-loving. You know, he likes to have fun. He's a fun-loving kid, but man, he works hard at it now, and that's huge, man. Like you watch these kids grow up, and you're like, yeah, I don't, because he's got all the natural talent in the world, and sometimes those are the ones that don't take it seriously enough when they get to IndyCar, because they've had it easy, in all these series growing up, and
got to be honest,
he gets it. He understands how hard he has to work at it, and that's good.
Yeah, I mean, I got to be honest. When he found himself behind behind the seat of an F3 car in Japan by the end of the other year, I think it was very humbling for him.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, that 1 year really was humbling for him. It just, he came off his Indy Lights championship and he had nothing, and he got a last minute Carlin deal, and it wasn't the right situation, and then Red Bull kind of jerked him around. I'm not sure what that. One day I'll get the whole story on that, but I still haven't heard it. So, I think they didn't do their due diligence. They thought, well, they'll have someone that can test for them, and then he didn't have enough points. Yeah, so it was, and then they moved him around, and yeah, it wasn't a good situation for him. But man, McLaren's been a perfect situation for him. Those guys are, they're kind of building a team around him, and
very smart. So yes.
Yeah, no, it's very smart. That team is, I know they're talking about, the fourth big team. I'm not going to put them there yet because, it's been 3 years since they won a race. They need to start winning races, but they've built a technical group that rivals anybody.
I mean, it doesn't feel like it's Schmidt anymore. It feels like it's McLaren, pretty much.
It does, and the strange thing is it's still Schmidt and Rick Peterson own the team. Like McLaren owns nothing, but there's a partnership there, and it benefits McLaren in many ways too. So, I wish, and I thought we might see more partnerships like that with F1 teams and IndyCar teams because of the spending cap that's coming in F1.
Yeah.
You've got a team like Ferrari or Mercedes, and McLaren was another case where they've got probably 50 engineers that they now can't afford, right? Like that are now, you can't, there's a budget cap. You can't spend the money. Well, all of a sudden, if you've got a partnership with an IndyCar team, you can put these younger guys, the engineers that you don't want to lose.
Yeah.
You can put them to work doing something else, right? It's not IndyCar, or it's not F1, but they're still in racing. So yeah, I thought we might see some more of that, and maybe we still will.
Yeah. Plus, plus things aren't exactly back to normal yet. I mean, we're not totally out of the woods yet. I would give another year or two before we start feeling a sense of normalcy back again. For sure. Vaccines are going all around and all that. So
yeah, exactly.
I mean, all you anti-vaxxers, you can go huddle in your 30%, yes. Whatever. We just need 70%. We're good.
Yeah. I think pretty close to 90% of the IndyCar paddock has been vaccinated now. They after the open test last week, they offered it up to anybody who hadn't got it yet. I think probably more than half the paddock had already got at least one dose, but I think pretty much everybody that hadn't had it got it last Friday, which is great, right? So kind of makes things a little more normal, and it allows IndyCar to open up to, don't get me wrong, having fans there is important, but allowing your partners, your VIPs, your sponsors to be at the track and interact with your team and your drivers is massively important. Right? These guys spend millions of dollars to sponsor a team, and to be quite honest with you, the return on investment for seeing that logo on Peacock or even on NBC, it isn't worth it, right? Like most of these sponsorship deals now are done for at the track activation, right? So you see a business bring potential customers to the track.
Exactly.
Right. And they do entertaining that way. So yeah, that's got to come back just at the same time that fans need to come back. It's an equal importance for the teams.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, yeah, like last year, Sonoma would have been totally pointless.
Yeah. Yes.
Just like it has been for the fans.
Right. Yep.
Eyes anyway.
Sure. Yeah.
Missy? Just cut me off. I'll keep talking. Really.
Yeah, and I was just looking through some of the stuff because I'm a little behind on my IndyCar stuff. A little
Got an
busy. A little
excuse.
busy.
You've got a little one, right?
Yeah, a little busy, unless it has to do with toys or anything else like. But no, I was excited to see Simona. I love Simona, so I'm really excited to see her back for the 500 and that all female crew.
It's a really good opportunity for her too. That car will be really well prepared. Quite a bit of help from Penske there, so no, it's a really good opportunity.
Question, yeah, is Preda just another Penske car under a different name or a real team?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, and yes.
Yes, and yes-ish.
It's like yes/yes dash ish.
Yeah, it's definitely Penske affiliated, for sure.
Did they get their chassis from Penske, or are they going to be a new chassis from Dallara?
That chassis actually came from Juncos, believe it or not. That was Juncos chassis.
See, that's going to make me sad because that means there's no chance for Juncos.
No, not this year. No, definitely not. Sorry to break your bubble, Jared. No, definitely not this year. I think Ricardo wants to come back. It's just a matter of his bread and butter is the junior formula, and he.
Yeah, I mean he's done great by it.
Where he's really needed most is
right. No, and you're right. That's a good way to put it. He's needed there. He's good at it, and he honestly, Ricardo is such an asset to the road to Indy and IndyCar long term because his driver development program is so different than the other road to Indy teams. He works so hard with his drivers, and he has driver camps where the drivers come and spend a week at the shop with the engineers and learning. And his driver development for Ricardo and that group is massively important. You've seen the drivers, you've got guys like Kyle Kaiser and Stingray Robb, who you look at how much better they've got, over a couple of years driving for that team, right? And it builds in that learning, that need for learning and that understanding for a driver that understands they have to learn to get better. And, at the IndyCar level, that's still the case. You talk to a guy like Dixon, he admits he learns something every time he goes out on track or every session. So,
I mean, look at Renus. I mean, Renus wouldn't be where he is now without Juncos. Definitely not.
Exactly. No, that's a very good point. They definitely instilled that in him, right? And you're right, Jared. He's almost more important at that level than he is, don't get me wrong, nice to have a nice car at the IndyCar level, but, maybe we can find some other guys to do that.
Yeah, sure, Juncos at the IndyCar level, but it almost be two separate branches of Juncos.
Yeah.
That makes most sense, I think. But, in due time. I mean,
it's good that we've got Carlin back in Road to Indy too with Indy Lights, right? Which is really nice to see there. That's kind of where they belong too, right? They're such worldwide. That's what they're known as, right? The junior formula teams. So it's good to have them back and good to see them back doing that.
Now the ISCP thumbnail means something. Yeah, it's Ed Jones highly filtered.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I think Ed will have a good season this year too. With
I'm happy to see him back. Actually,
I think that's a good spot. It works for him.
Yeah.
It's family oriented team and not family oriented, but it's just that there won't be quite as much pressure on him. And I think that works well with him and suits him well. And he's going to learn a lot from Grosjean too, which is huge. And Grosjean's admitted he's going to lean on Ed too, because Ed's been to the tracks. Ed knows the tracks, Ed knows IndyCar. So, I think that's a good partnership where they'll learn really a lot from each other.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, honestly. Derek?
Wow, I missed that.
What?
Yeah, sorry, I was just looking at some of the headshots for these Indy Lights drivers, and they're kind of some made me laugh a little bit.
Like who?
But one thing I did notice, big shout to Jay Howard in his driver development. He's one of those guys that he's at the track. He's up just up with the crowd up there talking to the drivers. Just he's a very he's one of those guys that he's doing it right.
Yeah, he really is, and he's at some point I have to do a story about how good he is at hiring the right people, um, just engineer wise and crew wise, and he runs it like a professional, and don't get me wrong, everybody in the road to Indy right now is very professional, right? Like I've been around a long time, and man, I remember back in the day that there were half the you know road to Indy teams and ladder teams were, man, it was club racing barely, right? Like it was that next, it was maybe a step above club racing, but not much. But everybody's professional now, and Jay's one of those ones. He runs it like an IndyCar organization, right? Like he spent a lot of time, in the Sam Schmidt organization, and that's kind of and Chris Griffiths, who was the manager of that Indy Lights team, ran that Indy Lights team like an IndyCar organization, and that's where kind of when Jay's kind of carried that on and learned from that, and it really makes it makes a difference for the drivers. It makes it easy for a driver to stay with them, and I think you've seen a lot of that this year, where you used to see drivers seat hop and team hop, but you see a lot of teams now sort of developing the driver from USF to Indy Pro and even to Indy Lights, right? And I think that speaks a lot to how the teams are running their programs and how dedicated they are to providing basically a service, right? Like, they're selling a service to these younger drivers, right? They're not paying them. So, you're paying to be in that, whoever seat. And so you have to treat them like a customer, but you have to provide them with value just beyond even, what you do on track. It's you've got to be able to help the driver develop. You've got to, if there's a team owner that can help a driver work with a sponsor to increase their, involvement, or how to bring in, how to use their sponsor to bring in other sponsors, that's that kind of thing that a team owner can bring at the road to Indy level, that, it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, they're it's definitely a top-notch organization. And like you said, when you learn from the people at the highest level who've learned that their whole lives and passed it, they learned it. It's just everyone passes it down, and it's good to see someone who does it right and is going to keep passing that down to the next generation of drivers. I mean, I remember seeing I can't even. I remember it was a former Indy 500 driver recently. He was with Jay Howard. He was also up helping talk to drivers and spotting up and stuff. Eventually, I'll remember his name. Martin Plowman.
Yeah.
Plowy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Plowey. Yep.
Yeah. See him. I just remember being up in Mid Ohio every year.
He just had a baby too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just maybe last week. Yeah.
Wow! Congratulations.
He's a team owner now in England. Sports car team owner. Yeah, he just became a sports car team owner and a dad, all in like a short period space. But yeah.
Wow, his life's really blowing up.
Yeah. Yeah, Martin's good people. He's really good. Him and Nicole are awesome.
He's really good. I mean, he's laid back. He'll talk to anybody.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Really good guy.
There was a couple race car drivers that had babies. I think the month of November was popular.
Yeah, I think so. You're right.
I think
drivers had
Ray
babies
Hall,
and
Ray Hall, and then Chavez. They had a baby.
Yeah, that's true.
We did.
Yeah.
Well, we somebody was supposed to come in January, but decided November sounded better. So a little stressful, but we made it through.
really grew a mullet.
Connor and his mullet. Yeah.
I saw that today, and I was like, really? Okay.
It kind of suits his personality.
It does.
It does. So, and you know what? It's interesting. Like Connor's personality online is very different than Connor's personality in real life, right? Like, don't get me wrong. Connor likes to have fun, and Connor likes to joke, but Connor's a serious racer, right? Like, you watch his personality, and you're like, he doesn't take this seriously. No, he takes it very seriously. He works very hard at it. Don't let him fool you how hard he works at becoming a good race car driver. Yeah, but it works for him, right? Like, you've got to kind of do what you do. Like,
I
the
like
personality
Connor.
you see from Hinchcliffe isn't necessarily the personality he is, right? Like, that's kind of the way it goes. The only guy who's what he is Elio. Elio's just turned on all the time, and
Yeah.
That's who he is. That's just who he is.
I've always referred to him. He's the Fonz of IndyCar.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
It really is. He's
Yep.
he's
Yeah.
he's that guy.
Yeah. He's always turned on.
Hair and just he's full of life. I miss him.
Should retire.
I think he'll really help that team. He's a good teammate. It's one thing he's really been known for throughout his career, is being a good teammate and helping his teammates. So I think that'll really help Jack to have someone around who's been there, done that, and seen that. So even if it's just 6 races, it's a huge benefit.
And I totally forgot we got Juan Pablo Montoya coming back this year.
Yeah, that'll be, he'll help that team. He really will. He's, so experienced at Indy that he'll help them get better, especially young guys.
Is he just racing at Indy?
Yeah, he's doing both races at Indy, so the Grand Prix and then the 500.
It's crazy how far back he goes. Like,
it really is, isn't it? Yeah.
His career is insanely long. It really is.
It is.
Like,
he's done everything,
yeah.
and now he's doing ELMS this year. He's racing ELMS, but he spent most of the year in Europe because that's where his son's racing in Italian F4 this year. Sebastian's racing in Italian F4, so I think he'll spend most of the year over there with Sebastian helping him out. So Juan says Sebastian's better than him, so we'll see. It'll be interesting to see.
All dads say that, though.
All dads say that, yeah, but I don't know. Juan might.
I've never heard Michael say that.
Yeah,
that's true. That is true. Yeah, Juan's not that type of guy that would do that, though. So we'll see. It'll be interesting.
I don't think I've ever heard Mario say that, actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I know I missed some stuff this year. Santino Ferrucci is racing for Rahal Letterman Lanigan. Is that just the 500 or
just for the 500? Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Which I think it'll be interesting to see how he does there, because they've been awfully good at the Speedway, right? So, and he's good there. So it's about the best spot he could be. I think he had some options. I don't get me wrong. I think he's bringing a little check to the table, but I think he was fairly well. He was wanted by, I know, at least 4 or 5 teams that pushed pretty hard to get him. So I'm going to guess that one of the partners at Rahal Letterman, probably the one in the middle, or wait, yeah, the guy who owns the crane company, Mike Lanigan, probably helped. Mike probably helped make that happen, because I know that they were interested in getting him, and they had now they've got the guys who finished first, third, and fourth at the 500 last year, right? That's not bad.
No.
And I expect them to be good again this year. I expect Chevy to be much better at the Speedway this year than they were. I know they spent a lot of time in the off season trying to make that better, and but Honda's going to, Honda will try and get better too. So
still need that third engine manufacturer, I think.
That would be fantastic. I'm not sure when it's going to happen, but
I was so confident it was going to be Ferrari too, really, with everything that's going on, but it's not going to be. I don't think it's going to be.
Yeah, they play games, right? Everything they do is to negotiate better terms with Formula One.
Yeah, it's just Bernie's not there to push around anymore, but I guess Liberty's easier. I don't know.
I don't. But yeah, they need, right? Like, I guess you look at F1 and you go, well, if F1 without Ferrari, it's not quite the same, right? So,
well, I mean, I guess. I mean,
yeah.
What have they been doing though, except for
no, exactly. They have not exactly been competitive. So,
I think Mercedes without F1 would be competitive, maybe.
Yes, yeah, it would be very different. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Full credit to them, man. They have.
Yeah.
Although this year they went the wrong direction on what they've done with the floor of the car.
Is that me? Sorry, is that me?
You're good. They went the wrong direction on rakes, so they still won the first race. So that tells you how much better they are everywhere else, and how much better Lewis Hamilton is. He's next level good, and he's another one who doesn't look like he works hard at it, but he works really hard at it. Right? You see him playing with his dog all the time, right? It's like, yeah, okay, if he's not playing with his dog, he's probably working on getting better.
Well, actually, I see a question here from our watchers. Is this the last year at Penske for Simon and Will? Do you think one of them might not be back. Both
One of them might not be back, but I also think Roger's going to end up with one of the two, either Volkswagen or Porsche IMSA programs. So that could be a home for one or both of those guys. I think Will will be back. I honestly think Will will be back. There's that possibility that Will breaks the pole record, right? And Roger will want that, right? Like Roger likes poles, right? Like Roger does like winning poles, right? Like it shows that you have the ultimate pace in your car when you win that many poles, and Will's getting close to that record, and I think Will be back. It'd be hard, right? Like I don't know who right now. Pato, maybe Colton would be two guys I think that would possibly fit in there. But you have to look at kind of the although, you look at a guy like Will isn't necessarily what you'd consider a Penske, prototypical Penske driver anymore. So, I think Tim's a little more, Tim Cindric is a big, Guns N' Roses and heavy metal fan. So that kind of, blows out that window of that conservative, staid driver that they always kind of used to have. So,
hey, Steve, I just want to say it was great having you on the show, man. I got an emergency call. I have to go. But
okay.
you finished the show here with Jared and Missy. It's not over yet.
No, thank you for having me.
Yeah, I wish I could have stayed on longer
You're
with
good.
you, buddy. But,
I understand.
This kind of stuff happens.
Like me during my willpower interview, I had to leave to go referee lacrosse officiate.
Yeah, well, that works.
I didn't even have a chance to say goodbye. I had to fly.
Oh, yeah. Nope. Take care.
Good. Steve Wittich, everybody.
Yep. Bye, Frank.
Thank you, Jared. Love you, buddy. Love you guys. Go Indy. Go Will.
Yeah, I love you too.
Yeah, I'll probably dip out soon too. I'm leaving. Plan on leaving early tomorrow morning for Alabama, so I'm driving to this one. I hate it's that right, like it's 7.5 hours. It's right on that line where I'm like, do I fly? Do I drive? And there's no direct flights, right? So it's like,
I was going. I had flights, and then Southwest is like, okay, so now we're gonna make your departing flight far more inconvenient than it was.
no.
And then it was followed up 2 weeks later by, now we're going to make your return flight far more inconvenient.
Yeah, Southwest messed around with their time.
And I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm not going anymore, because now it went from being able to take 1 day off work, I had to take 3 days off work.
Yeah, no, that doesn't work.
I'm not taking 3 days off work for any race that's not Long Beach or Indy.
Right. Yeah, I hear you.
Worth it.
Yes.
I'll be there at St. Pete. Won't miss St. Pete.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think these 2-day IndyCar shows make travel a little bit easier, right? Like
they're learning from the NASCAR model how NASCAR went to doing a lot of their show. They did a lot of theirs in all 1 day, no qualifying.
Yeah,
showed up and raced.
Yep.
The team, love it.
Gateway's pretty much that way this year. It's 1 day. The Texas show, it's 2 days at Texas, but it's 2 races.
Yes, it's.
Yeah. And with the races, a lot of them are earlier, right? So it's possible to fly in Friday night and fly out Sunday night, right? Like it's possible to do that and not miss any IndyCar track time, which is really nice, right? More time at home is always a good thing.
Yeah.
When you travel a lot, sometimes that extra day. Don't get me wrong, I love being at the track, but sometimes that time at home is nice too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I still have a full-time job.
Right.
So it's like,
exactly.
That's my escape, is getting to go to the track and get away from everything and get to talk to people and do new stuff and try to create content. So
good.
It's all good fun.
I just picked up a second job, so.
Oh, geez. Wow.
What? Oh, you mean a few months ago you picked up a second job?
Yeah.
A second full-time.
And it's not taking care of Frank? No.
No.
Doesn't.
That'd be a third full-time job if that was.
Yeah, no, Frank is a full-time job.
He is.
You picked up a full-time job that you have to pay money to instead of it paying you money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was I thinking?
Yeah, I know. I mean, come on.
Well, we're done, so it was a one and done.
Yeah,
Definitely a
just
one and
happy-
done after this experience. My God.
Yeah, I'm just happy that he's healthy and doing well.
Yes,
Exactly.
me too. Tell me about it. He's definitely doing well now. So he's a little
Good.
porker
Oh.
now.
The next time I'm out there, I'll actually get to see him.
I know you missed him by like a day.
It's okay.
He
It's
got
fine.
discharged the day after Jared went home.
Oh wow,
He was in the hospital for 69 days.
16 days. Wow.
Yeah. Well, he was
So
born
that had
9
to be
weeks
hard.
early.
That's got to be hard, right, as a parent to.
It was. Yeah, it definitely was. I think the worst part was when after I delivered, they took him immediately out of the room. So I got to kiss the back of his head, and that was it before they took him out of the room.
That's
so
tough.
that was the hardest part, yeah. And then driving every day up to the hospital to see him, because you didn't get to bring him home. So, yeah, it was tough.
Yeah.
But he finally got to come home after being in the hospital for 69 days. And, yeah, he went from 4 pounds, 1 ounce to now he's over 14 pounds. So,
Oh wow, that's fantastic. That's
yeah,
great.
so he's catching up with his growth. So
Good.
he's doing well. So,
Good. Yeah, now you'll be all into that. What percentage is he in, right? So
they tell me and I'm just like, I don't really know what that means. They're like, oh,
Right.
well, now he's on the chart, apparently. So before he
good.
wasn't on the chart because, he was so premature, but now
Right.
he's on the chart, I guess. So
Cool. Very cool. So are you planning on traveling to any races, Missy?
I don't think this
It'll
year.
be hard, right?
Yeah, I don't think this year. It's going to be hard, yeah. So
We're going to New Jersey. We'll do.
Oh, yeah.
That's good.
Well,
Yeah.
I'll definitely take them there, for
20 minutes from their house.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. That's
Yeah.
really good. That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll definitely go there, but yeah, other races not so much because
Yeah, that's tough, especially with nothing close, right? So,
yeah, with all the tracks from the East Coast going away, yeah.
yeah.
I think our closest track is probably Mid Ohio, and that's
That's tough.
and
Yeah,
it's
that's
still
true.
is
That's rough.
that's still a drive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Plus Watkins Glen, Pocono. It's just
Yeah, I mean Watkins Glen. I mean it wasn't close. That was still 5 hours
Yeah,
one way.
that's not too bad. That's kind of like that. Not horrible,
Yeah.
but not.
4.5 for me.
Yeah. Where are you? You?
Grand Rapids.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, that's not too bad.
No,
Yeah,
easy
Po-
drive down 31.
I mean Pocono was great. I mean that was like a 2-hour ride. That was the closest.
awesome.
But now, yeah, Ohio's our closest. So a little hard with a 6-month-old. Right.
Yeah. So now, Jared, when you go to Road America, do you take the boat across?
My dad. It was always the race my dad and I would go to every year.
Yeah.
So we looked at it because he's in Muskegon, which is where the port is to Milwaukee.
Right. Yeah.
So we thought about it, but the way we went, like none of the times were all
No. Yeah.
convenient for us, and it was more expensive anyway.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. No, it is. You just don't have to deal with Chicago traffic, right?
We're like, we'll just drive it around. Who cares?
Yeah.
But now I got to figure out what race him and I are going to do because after last year's Road America experience, which wasn't the best for me,
Mhm.
but it worked itself out. And
Good.
so I'm going to try to get him to go back to Belle Isle because it's
Good.
a couple hours away. Or maybe
Yeah.
maybe Indy Grand Prix. I should tell him to come down for Indy Grand Prix as long as they'll have me.
I think things will start to open up
I
a
hope
little
so.
bit more. I think.
I'm optimistic because I was approved for St. Pete. I'm like, well, if
Yeah, that's a good. Yeah, that's probably.
I'm
Yeah, that's a really good start.
something, it's got to go somewhere.
Yeah.
It's not like
No,
I'm
it does.
for a hard card or anything. I don't need that.
Yeah.
I want to
The
be.
hard cards are. I think there's 3 or 4 outlets that have them, and we sure got one of them. And I get it. I completely understand it. Right. Like I
think I know the 3 people that got them: Bruce Martin, Jenna Fryer, and probably one other person.
Yeah, Star Guy got one. I think Nathan got one, and I think Malsher did too. Maybe.
Well, good. David Malsher. I love David Malsher. He's
David's a good dude.
as long as and Robin Miller better have one.
Yeah, he won't go to any of the races till later.
I know, and then I miss Robin so much.
Yeah, I got to see him at the test at Indy, and he's tired all the time. He's not doing poorly, but he's not he's struggling.
Not the Robin he used to be.
No, you're correct.
He's still grumpy
Although you know what, I was very happy when he came into the media center. He was cussing out the Wi-Fi, and I'm like, okay, that's Robin. It's good to have him back. So, Yeah, no, it was good. But yeah, no, it's you know, I've been to a few events last year, the end of last year. It was weird. It was definitely weird. And it's honestly, if you can't get into the paddock, it's almost as good to cover it from home in some
Yeah,
ways.
if
Um,
if,
you know,
if you're not,
if you can't talk to people in person, it's not,
and if you don't really care about Road to Indy, because Road to Indy paddock's still open.
it's still open. And that's why I kept good. That's why I went to events because I
And
could go to the road mini paddock, but it's, yeah,
That's what I focused on. And I was like, okay, well, if it's going to be the same way this year, I'm all Road to Indy.
that's good.
Got my
Yeah,
face
road Indy will appreciate
on,
it.
more microphones. Like I'm taking this show on the road.
Good. Good. And you need to talk to, they have nice big round tables in the road Indy hospitality that you can
And
use.
that's what I was thinking. I'm like, I'm trying to think. I need an actual round table. And I'm like, well, in hospitality, all I need
Yeah.
is one like outlet to plug in.
Yeah. Yeah, there's outlets inside the truck. They'll help you out.
My mixer. Because the camera's got its own battery thing, and I just plug the
That's
mixer
cool.
into the camera for the audio for the video on there. And all I have is the mixer, which puts in the four microphones and
Nice.
combines it all into one. So it's
Very cool.
I assume it'll work. I need to test it out.
I'm sure it will. Good.
But thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me, guys.
I'm actually I'm going to pull this back up because I got to give you a chance to plug Trackside Online.
Thank you, guys.
Your
Awesome.
Patrick.
Yeah, my preview stuff for IndyCar should be going up tomorrow. Same with the last of my Road to Indy stuff. I've got a lot written. I just need to get it cleaned up and edited and nice, pretty pictures put in and all that stuff. Sometimes that stuff takes as long as writing. So.
Well, and you got I still remember because I used to do the IndyCar Nation stuff when you guys had the partnership with them and would send out the weekly primers.
Right.
And I would always look forward to the ones I go to. I'm like, okay, what's on Steve's list for where to go eat?
Yes.
Steve knows. You've been everywhere.
I'm a big dude too, right? So I like my food.
Yeah,
so
I wasn't gonna say it, but
I like not hole in the walls, but I like the small private or the small, small businesses and that kind of stuff.
Oh, absolutely. So. I'm from we call it Beer City because it's microbreweries per capita. So I try to find me a nice little hole in the wall somewhere where I can get me a good bite to eat and a craft beer.
Yep, perfect.
Something I can try something all over the country. So
yep,
it's definitely good.
I'm looking forward to barbecue. I missed it last year.
I know that's why I'm sad that we're not going back to Circuit of the Americas because you can find some good barbecue down there.
There's some really good barbecue in Austin.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah,
good.
Sure.
Well, thanks for having me on, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Take care, and we'll see you, Jared. I'll see you in St. Pete.
Yeah, we'll see you in a couple weeks.
And I'll see you, Missy, in Jersey.
Yeah. Oh, awesome.
I will be there. So.
Yes, I will. I will be bringing the little one.
Awesome. Very cool. Well, I look forward to meeting him.
Got to expose the kids at a young age.
Exactly. Oh yeah.
I mean,
I was at the racetrack when I was next to nothing. So.
Well, I'm putting on the race for this weekend so he can watch it. He's already a little interested in hockey and the baseball game I had on today, so he was looking at it.
Cool.
So
that's awesome.
Get started early.
Guys. Thank you.
Thanks. Take care.
Thanks. You too.
Yeah, you too.
Right. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Oh, thank you.